a million people looking at you, Terrell. There's a million people looking at you.
Terrell Owens only needed a few seconds to change the way people saw him forever.
And George Teague levels it. Here it goes. And he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out. There are flags everywhere.
And from that moment on, Terrell Owens became T.O.
Who can make a play? I can.
Some would say this is starting to become a circus.
Look, Mama, they got these cameras on me again.
What is that a pen?
Yeah. He had a pen in his sock. They got these cameras on me again, Mama.
The pace is caught by Owens. Owens made the catch. Holy moly.
Y'all being stagnant.
But the strange thing about T.O.'s career is that the same moments people used to prove he was selfish were sometimes the clearest proof of how valuable he actually was. Because before Terrell Owens became the player everyone had an opinion about, he was something a lot simpler.
I didn't have a glamorous childhood life. You know, I was a product of my environment. And to describe, I guess, where I grew up and where I'm from, that takes me back to my hometown, Alexander City, Alabama.
He was small, slim, very tiny. I never would imagine him being the height that he is.
I wouldn't say he was very popular. We weren't allowed to have friends from neighborhood in New York because my grandma, she didn't believe in that. She didn't believe in nobody coming to play with us.
With my grandmother, she was a very strict, disciplinarian. She was an old school type of lady. Grew up in the, kind of the segregation era.
I feel like maybe I was socially awkward, not able to be able to mingle and socialize with people because we were always by ourselves.
I was one of those kids that was a late bloomer. I wasn't a 4 or 5 star kid or an athlete coming out of high school. I wasn't heavily or highly recruited.
So when I went to college, man, like I said, it was just a matter of me just making the most of the opportunities.
It's a foot race. Terrell Owens. Touchdown, UTC. How about that?
Okay, last question. You get to write the script. What are the best things that could happen in football to you over the next, say, 2 or 3 months?
In football, I would say that I get drafted at least in the 2nd or 3rd round, very high.
By?
That really doesn't matter.
Terrell Owens, wide receiver, just went to San Francisco, and now Green Bay Packers are up.
So if you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this.
In a potentially landmark social media addiction trial, Meta and YouTube essentially on trial.
Recently, a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They knew their apps could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but decided not to share those risks while prioritizing profits. The recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. Now, Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm they've caused. So if you click the link in the description below or scan this QR code on the screen and take a short quiz, you may be entitled to a potential recovery of over $1,000. When Terrell arrived in San Francisco, he walked into a franchise where the receiver position already had a standard.
I was with the best receiver of all time, and I'm sitting right next to him in my locker. I'm breathing the same air he's breathing. I'm sharing the same football field. I was in awe. I was starstruck.
This was Jerry Rice's team. So for Terrell, standing in that shadow wasn't easy at first.
My first year going into training camp, we were in Rockland. And so for me, it was a bit overwhelming. When I saw guys that were, that I felt was better than me get cut, it made for a very intense and overwhelming environment for me.
Early on, he wasn't polished. He had all the physical attributes and tools that made his coaches believe there was something there, but he was still raw. And that rawness was on full display in the wild card game in January of 1999.
We're back in San Francisco for the wild card match between the Packers and the 49ers.
For years, Green Bay had San Francisco's number. The Packers had become essentially the wall at the end of the 49ers season. And for most of that afternoon, Terrell wasn't helping the situation at all.
I didn't really play particularly well.
Young throws outside and the pass is dropped by Owens. It was right there.
He's had a terrible day today.
Really?
He dropped pass after pass.
I don't know that I've ever seen Terrell Owens play as poorly as he is today.
That was that nervous energy. I was trying to do too much. I think I got a little bit overwhelmed and put a little bit pressure on myself to perform well.
Then with the game on the line and the pocket starting to collapse, Steve Young dropped back, stepped up, and fired over the middle.
Young almost falls down, throws to the end zone. Owens! 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 Caught it! He caught it! He caught it! He hasn't held on to anything, including his fingers, all day, and he makes the winning touchdown catch.
The emotions were on full display because the catch not only proved that the moment wasn't too big for him, but it also proved one mistake or 5 didn't have to define the whole game. When San Francisco needed him most, he was there.
Tell me about that touchdown.
It was a rough day, and Steve Young gave me a chance, and the Lord gave it to me today.
That catch probably established him as one of the big-time players in the league. You could just see his confidence go through the roof.
Because by then, Terrell had already started becoming a problem for defenses.
I love me some meat. Hot dog.
In 1997, after Jerry Rice went down in Week 1, San Francisco needed someone else to carry more of the passing game. So T.O. became the 49ers' top receiver that season and finished with 60 catches, 936 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
Young goes deep. The rookie from Tennessee, Chattanooga, has his first NFL touchdown.
Then the next season, 67 catches, 1,097 yards, and 14 touchdowns.
Jeff steps up in the pocket, throws for the end zone. Oh, Terrell Owens! Oh, what a bonanza!
Who can make a play? I can.
At that point, those were all career highs. And the numbers matter because they showed he was becoming one of the reasons the offense was working. That year, he finished only 60 receiving yards behind Jerry Rice. And he scored 5 more touchdowns, though. So when he made the catch, it wasn't the first time the 49ers had something. It was just now being broadcast on one of the biggest stages.
It didn't start out particularly well, but that's where the cliche, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
He was starting to become a real answer in an offense still built around one of the greatest players who ever lived. And once that happened, the attention started to change.
They say Randy Moss, Mr. Clutch. They're about to take another look.
Because by 2000, Terrell was no longer just growing into a bigger role. That season, he caught 97 passes for 1,451 yards and 13 touchdowns. And later that year against the Chicago Bears, he would set an NFL record with 20 catches in one game.
Garcia to a wide open Owens. And now Terrell Owens has a record of all-time receptions in a game.
So by the time the 49ers walked into Dallas in September of 2000, T.O. had already earned the trust and attention he was looking for. But now he was learning how powerful that attention could be. And against the Cowboys, he chose the one place where nobody could look away.
Garcia off the play fake, rolling right, has the touchdown. Terrell Owens. Where's he going? Right to the Dallas Cowboys logo. He looks skyward through the opening of the roof.
In his version of the story, it wasn't about taunting Dallas, it was about giving thanks.
I wasn't doing it to taunt anybody. I wasn't directing it at anybody. It had nothing to do with Dallas. It had nothing to do with Emmitt Smith.
But that's not how it landed. So when Emmitt Smith scored, he did the exact same thing.
Oh, he's going to do what Owens did. Right into the middle of the star, puts the football down and strikes it, and that got the crowd juiced.
Now the moment had changed.
Okay, we're at your house. I did it the first time you did it. Okay, well, stop me from doing it again.
Here we go, here we go. Puts it down, and George Teague levels it. Here it goes. And he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out. There are flags everywhere.
After the game, even his own team was split on the action.
I was pissed, all right? I chewed him out in the locker room in front of the team. I said, we will never win like that. And so I acted because I felt like I should.
He was so pressured from the outside that he felt like he needed to do so. But that let me know that he didn't have my back. And our relationship, it went down the drain after that.
Coach Steve Mariucci found him a week's pay and kept him out the next game.
The Niners and head coach Steve Mariucci thought it was pretty dumb too, and today it cost Owens a game check and a game. He has been excused for the team for the rest of this upcoming week.
See, that part matters because once that line was crossed, everything around him started to get interpreted differently.
Once I started to become into my own and develop my skill set, people started to realize that I wasn't like Jerry. People took offense to me celebrating, to where, yeah, it has shaped an image of me that I'm sure a lot of people, they can't get out of their minds.
And from that point on, people were no longer watching Terrell Owens. They were watching T.O.
You be cool. This our team. You be cool.
It didn't matter, though, because the next season, 2001, he just kept getting better.
All I want to know if you got your popcorn ready.
And now completes to Owens. Still on his feet. Terrell Owens takes a hit and goes in for the touchdown.
Do you got your popcorn ready?
That year, he led the NFL in receiving touchdowns. Then in 2002, he did it again.
Garcia fires. Owens, touchdown! Terrell Owens! Man, give me the ball. I don't want to hear nothing else. Give me the ball.
So even as the image around him started to get louder, the football kept backing it up.
You got your popcorn ready? Hey, ready? Huh? I'm ready to see the show, baby.
There was the football story where Terrell was scoring touchdowns and forcing defenses to pay attention to him. Then there was the T.O. story, where every celebration became another piece of evidence. And that season, those two stories collided again. Monday Night Football, 49ers and Seahawks.
Garcia going deep. Owens on this side. Just makes the catch. Touchdown. What is that a pin?
Yeah, he had a pin in his sock.
It was perfect, right? But that was the problem, because the celebration started getting almost as much attention as the touchdown itself. It had gotten to a point that anytime T.O. celebrated, it became a national conversation. And it started to become more than just about the celebration.
I'm straight, man. I may fuss, but I'm always in control. I'm always in control.
That's what I'm mad about. I mean, I'm working my butt off. We're not connecting on offense.
Give me the ball! No, I'm tired of running down rough or nothing.
If he wanted the ball, it all sounded like selfishness. If he showed emotion, he was a diva and a distraction for the locker room. That was the trap, right? That same personality that made him a star also made it easier for people to ignore everything else. Now it wasn't just about celebrations. The new narrative started to become how he was a bad teammate. So by the time he and the 49ers reached the end of the road, he already had that scarlet letter attached to his name, the diva receiver. But Philly didn't care about that. And for T.O., it felt like a reset.
I feel like I'm in a winning organization here, so I just want to add to the puzzle.
The Eagles were already close. They had Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid, and at the time they were good enough to keep reaching NFC championship games, they just couldn't get over the hump. And T.O. was supposed to be that missing piece. And for a while, it worked.
McNabb looking to throw the ball away and throws it away into the hands of Owens for another touchdown.
He gave the Eagles and the city a reason to believe that this version of T.O. might finally be different.
I felt like I had arrived. Like, this is what being a superstar is like.
Because I love me some me. Believe it.
For most of that first season, it was. Until the moment that should have ended his season instead became the strongest argument of his career.
He fires, and it is complete to Owens at the 50. Owens pulled down at the Cowboys' 47.
He's got a problem.
It looks like his leg gets caught up underneath him, and that's all Philadelphia needs, right?
And just like that, the weapon Philly had spent years looking for was gone.
You know, for all of us, you know, it's kind of a wake-up call, obviously. It's when a man goes down, someone else has to step up. And one thing we have to understand, obviously, is we've been in 3 NFC championships, you know, without T.O.
Him being the quarterback, the mouthpiece, the leader, the captain of the team, he had to face those questions pretty much leading into the playoffs. And he basically said, we don't need T.O. to win. We've won games without him.
We don't have to replace T.O. Understand, we do not have to replace T.O. Our receiving core is fine. We'll make plays, and we'll win a game.
And so I didn't really take any slight to it, but I heard it.
Right. You felt it was an unnecessary slight.
The thing was with the media was I going to be ready to play in the Super Bowl?
Right.
Well, when I talked to the doctors, I figured he was done, but I'm telling you now, that was never in his thinking.
When I had surgery, I had gone in surgery like the next day. I vowed at that time, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I will be ready.
7 weeks later, he walked into the Super Bowl with screws in his ankle, a surgeon who reportedly would not clear him, and a reputation that made everything he did harder to interpret, right?
Dr. Carrasquillo said if it was his son, he would not allow him to play.
So I had to sign a waiver to release the Eagles of any liability.
If another star had forced his way back from injury, people might have called it heroic. But with T.O., another all too familiar word made headlines instead.
I got labeled selfish by a number of commentators.
Was he really doing this for the team, or was this about him?
I just find it interesting that over the last 2 weeks, I've heard some critics depict T.O. as being selfish for wanting to get back to playing this game at less than 100%.
Fair or not, that is what his reputation had done. It made even the sacrifice look suspicious.
They were glorifying Tom Brady because he had stitches in his hand, and he was able to throw the football.
But then the game started, and that theory fell apart fast.
Owens, open space. Harrison chasing and out of bounds inside the 20, and a late flag comes in. And so much for him being a decoy.
9 catches, 122 yards. On the biggest stage in football and on a leg that wasn't even supposed to be ready.
They can't stop it. And I'm on half a leg and they can't stop it.
Selfish players don't risk their bodies in the Super Bowl 7 weeks after surgery just to give their team a chance. But unfortunately, that effort came with a loss, 24-21.
And the New England Patriots are on their way to solidifying their team as an NFL dynasty.
If the Eagles win that game, maybe the story changes. Maybe T.O. becomes the warrior who gave Philadelphia its first Super Bowl. I don't know, maybe the same people questioning his motives are forced to frame the comeback differently. But they lost. And honestly, I'm not even sure it would have changed anything. That's not how reputations work. A reputation doesn't just disappear because of one heroic night. Sometimes it waits for the next thing that confirms what people already believed. And for T.O., that next thing was right around the corner.
Joe Banner has made it perfectly clear. Terrell Owens has two options: play under the current contract or don't play under the current contract.
T.O. wanted a new contract. And from the outside, that's easy to twist the narrative, right? T.O. got his team to the Super Bowl and now he wants more money. But from his perspective, he had taken a risk. He played hurt and still performs like a star, so now he wanted the organization to treat him like one. And I feel like that's sort of the overall theme with T.O.'s career. He wanted his value to be obvious, but the way he fought for it or communicated it often made people stop talking about the message and more about the messenger. So the contract dispute became more than a contract dispute. It became another T.O. story. And honestly, at this point, he didn't really help the situation. He criticized the organization about how he was being treated. He took public shots at teammates and coaches. I mean, he didn't really do himself any favors.
Me and Andy Reid had a disagreement. We had a choice of words with each other. He told me to go home. I go home, I get in the house, I'm in the house 20 minutes, and next thing you know, I'm hearing like helicopter around the house. I'm like, what's going on? Then next thing you know, I hear a knock at the door. I'm like, who knows I'm here? Bro, I swear to you, just like these tripods are set up, that's how they was outside my driveway. So the last thing that I, profound thing that I heard Andy Reid tell me was, yo, go back, make sure you're in shape, keep working out. That's what I heard.
Some would say this is starting to become a circus.
I just wanted to try to, at that point in time, like I said, make light of a situation that I felt like was kind of getting off the tracks.
Do you think this is a distraction? Is this just hurting the team?
Hey, I ain't hurting the team.
In one season, Owens had gone from the missing piece to the problem, and Philly was done, which ultimately sent a smoke signal to the rest of the league. No matter how much he gave a team on Sunday, the same question would come back by Monday. Was he worth it?
When you look at this, T.O., how do you envision this story ending?
I don't know.
Do you want to be traded? Do you want to be traded?
Hey, I just want to play football, and I want to be treated fairly, contractually. That's all I want.
Well, that question brought him to the strangest place possible. The same place where T.O.'s story had really started.
I want to graciously thank, Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys organization. Obviously, it wasn't something that he had to do. But I think, anybody that knows Jerry, he's committed to winning.
Terrell had gone from disrespecting the star to wearing it on his helmet. And in some ways, it made perfect sense. The Cowboys weren't strangers to attention. This was Dallas, Jerry Jones, America's team, right? So if any team was built to absorb everything that came with T.O., it had to be this one.
Firing downfield for Owens. He makes the catch. Touchdown, Terrell Owens, a 99-yard drive.
Tony Romo looked like one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in football. Jason Witten was having one of the best seasons of his career. Marion Barber gave the offense power. Patrick Creighton gave them another target. And T.O. gave them everything the offense needed, but very few actually had. A player defenses feared before the snap. But then January came. Cowboys, Giants. Dallas had the better record, home field, the better team, and a receiver who was supposed to help push them over the top. And they still lost. And when a team like that loses like that, someone has to be the scapegoat.
It's not about, Tony. You guys can point the finger at him. And if you do that, it's really unfair. It's really unfair. It's my team. It's my quarterback.
And that following season, Dallas became one of the strangest teams in the league. Again, they had a really talented team. The problem was they just kept shooting themselves in the foot. So when they started falling apart, the easy answers were already sitting there. Romo was too reckless. Wade Phillips had no control. Jerry Jones is too involved. And T.O. was T.O. But that last one was always the cleanest, right? Because by this point, Terrell had spent almost a decade becoming the easiest player in football to blame. I mean, he didn't even really have to be the main reason something went wrong. He just had to be close enough to the mess for people to connect him to it. And in Dallas, you know the saying goes, they're an accident waiting to happen.
We're joined by our Ed Werder all over the story. And Ed, sources suggesting actually that a jealous Owens has actually accused Romo and Witten of drawing up their own private plays. You have spoken to several in that locker room. What's the latest?
And this time, Dallas didn't just decide to move on. Jerry Jones gave the ending its own image.
Our own Ed Werder joins us now. Ed, when you heard news that Terrell Owens had been released by the Cowboys, what's the first thing that ran across your mind?
And eventually, the reputation won. First, he left Dallas, then he came to Buffalo, then Cincinnati. It felt like teams were tired of the idea of him, tired of managing the story or wondering if the production still outweighed the spectacle. Because if you just looked at his numbers, it was an easy call. Over his career, 1,078 catches, 15,934 yards, 153 touchdowns. Those are the numbers of one of the greatest receivers who ever lived. But those numbers were never going to be allowed to stand alone. And that followed him into one of the places where the numbers were supposed to matter the most.
T.O., some have argued T.O. Hall of Famer
First
or not.
ballot. It's ridiculous if he isn't, and he's not going to get in. Watch. Because he wasn't great to the sports writers, and that's what I'm saying. Why should some 80-year-old sports writer who hasn't covered the game in 30 years or been to a game in 10 be able to say Terrell Owens doesn't deserve to get in? Terrell Owens, top 10 in every statistical category as a receiver. He is a 5-time All-Pro. If he doesn't get in on Saturday, that's a crime.
He didn't get first ballot, not even second.
You're supposed to shove all your personal feelings aside and recognize what somebody has done. And the fact that that has been ignored because he is not liked, as far as I'm concerned, the media should turn in their card. They cannot be trusted. I don't think they should even be allowed to vote on the Hall of Fame anymore after this. This is a disgrace.
He waited into his 3rd year. And whether voters said it out loud or not, everybody knew what that was about. So when the Hall of Fame finally called, Owens did one thing that made perfect sense for him. He accepted the honor, but decided to do it his own way. Instead of being on stage with his other inductees in Canton, he went back to Chattanooga, the place that knew Terrell Owens before the world turned him into T.O. Owens finally got the recognition he had spent his whole life chasing. But by then, he no longer trusted the people handing it to him. Because the NFL eventually honored the player, but it never fully let go of the label.